Welcome on board of our Boeing 737-800 NGX PMDG. Today's flight will take us from Nice to Berlin-Schönefeld. In this video I want to present a possibility how to combine as much as possible FMC airway programming on our CDU unit and controller's instructions from FSX. So I've loaded our airway information on the board computer and into Flight Simulator.
Bravo 1510, wind calm. Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky conditions clear. Temperature 162.6 UN 1013. ILS, runway orbs left and ILS, runway orbs right in use. Landing and departing runway orbs left and runway orbs right. VFR aircraft stay direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Bravo. Nice clearance delivery 738 IFR to on the field, ready to cut. 738 is cleared at Schönefeld Airport as filed. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain 6,000. Departure frequency is 120.85. 738 cleared at on the field Airport as filed. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain 6,000. Departure on 120.85. 738, read back correct. Contact ground on 121.775.
Okay, now we already know that we will take off from runway 4, probably 4 right, as runway 4 right to 2 left is dedicated to Nice departures. I'll add this information to our departure arrivals page and turn the heading knob to 044. Also I will set our altimeter to 6,000 feet, which is the assigned initial climb altitude. I will skip here start and push back procedures and go directly to ready to taxi clearance.
Nice ground 738 with Charlie, ready to taxi IFR. 738, taxi to and hold short of runway 4 right. Using taxiway Romeo Delta, Tango Charlie, Charlie 1, Charlie 2, Whiskey Alpha 3, 2. Contact tower at 121.275 when ready. Taxiing hold short, runway 4 right via taxiway Romeo Delta, Tango Charlie, Charlie 1, Charlie 2, Whiskey Alpha 3, 2, 738.
Well, let's shortly talk about our route. Flight Simulator doesn't normally include and assign SID and star. I've chosen the SID Irma 5 Echo for departure, which will take us after a right turn above the sea to NDB November Charlie, then to Barso and to our waypoint Irma. We will enjoy the Alps and be near the Mont Blanc at Moblo. After that we will continue in direction of Zurich, Stuttgart, Erfurt, Leipzig. In Flight Simulator, Rodak is the last waypoint before Berlin. In Berlin, weather is changing and we don't know yet which vectors or star and landing runway will be accorded. During airway programming, I decided to add a transition and a holding at Kilo Lima Foxtrot after Rodak, which allows us to land either on runway 7 right or on runway 25 left, depending on weather conditions and ATC instructions. Our V2 speed is 156 knots with flaps 1. Nice uses a special noise abatement procedure for departures and climbs due to the proximity of the populated area. Our configuration is takeoff 1 and climb 1, calculated with TopCat software, so I'll only accelerate normally and retract flaps when I've climbed up to 2000 feet. Indeed, with an important payload and about 19,000 lbs of fuel, we are too heavy to use soft to takeoff 2 and climb 2. Our assumed takeoff weight is about 15,000 lbs. Also, we don't have much fuel in our center tank. To avoid probably changing and fuel warming during our initial climbing, I will switch off the center fuel pumps before takeoff and turn them on again during our cruising. About our route to Berlin, it provides from Route Finder and was then generated by SimRoutes. In real life I'm more used to overfly northern Italy after departure and then continue on airway Uniform November 851. Ready to taxi, recall checked. Some information about usual procedures at Nice Airport. Runway direction of Nice Lima Foxtrot Mike November was determined by local topography, not prevailing wind direction. Landings and takeoffs on runway 4 are preferred and accepted up to 6 knots tailwind. If you prefer taking off from runway 22 left, you have to configure slight southwesterly wind in Flight Simulator's weather at the very beginning of your flight, setting it to 2 to 4 degrees at low altitude. Due to the limited available space, the airport has dedicated close proximity parallel runways, south runway for takeoffs and north runway for landings, unlike most airports where the runway adjacent to airport terminals is used for departures. So we have to stop and to be very careful before crossing the landing runway for left to right. We should have a traffic warning from ATC ground here.
738, hold position, caution other traffic. 738, continue taxi. Roger, 738.
No traffic in sight. The presence of high ground on the extended center line of runway 4 imposes a 95 degrees right turn at 400 feet QFE. That is indeed just the lower limit to engage the autopilot. I will arm LNAV and if commands are centered and speed is at V2 plus 20, that's to say 176 knots or more when reaching 400 feet, I may engage the autopilot and we will turn to heading 140 normally. If for any reason commands are not centered so that we can't engage the autopilot and speed is less than V2 plus 20, I have to turn manually and shouldn't exceed a bank angle of 15 degrees. In this case I will engage the autopilot when stabilized. About VNAV, I will switch the knob on when reaching noise reduction height of 1500 feet. Takeoff briefing. I will push thrust up to about 40% of N1 and when stabilized push the takeoff go-around knob. Toga will only work when both flight directors are activated. I will maintain a small amount of forward pressure on the yoke. In FS, upon reaching 90 knots and when reducing thrusts, RTO will be activated and will stop our airplane. In real life, between 80 knots and V1, we are only allowed to interrupt takeoff in case of serious problems, like engine out or fire warning. At VR, I'll pull on the yoke and begin to rotate smoothly between 2 and 3 degrees per second. As with the 738, there is an important risk of tail strike because of its length. Our security speed V2 is 156 knots. After having left the ground and with a positive climb rate, I raise the landing gear and follow the flight director indication. Once aligned and if all has been well calculated and set, our climbing should follow flight director's climb path in Toga configuration without having any more to move the yoke. Reaching 400 feet height, I will engage the autopilot, which should make us turn immediately to the right. I will control MCP speed indication, which should be at 176 knots. If ever we get a problem and have to turn back to our departure airport, radios are set in respecting Nice Riviera approach. At 1500 feet I will engage VNAV, and at 2000 feet will begin to climb normally, retract flaps like indicated, and speed will increase until 250 knots till flight level 100. Before takeoff checklist: flaps 1 green light, stabilizer trim 5.02 units, ignitions on continuous, landing lights on, taxi lights off, strobe and steady, center fuel pumps off, radar on Tara. Before takeoff checklist completed.
Nice Tower 738 at runway 4 right, ready for takeoff. IFR to 2 on the field. 738 cleared for takeoff. Runway 4 right. Cleared for takeoff. Runway 4 right. 738.
I will respect as much as possible ATC instructions. Nevertheless, sometimes that won't be possible if we don't want to deviate too much from our initial programmed route. At other moments, for example upon every frequency change, I normally should immediately contact and never more than 1 minute after receiving the frequency change instruction. In Flight Simulator, and due to absence of SIDS and stars management, I will contact Nice departure a bit later to avoid that I might have to take a completely other departure route than planned. Aligned on runway, ready for takeoff.